It is November 17th. This is the Legit Betting Edge podcast, episode number 14. I'm Brian Benito with my partner, Scott Johnson. Scott, how are you this morning?
I am doing good, Brian. Looking forward to another week of football action, and college basketball is getting closer and closer. Got some news from them, so it looks like they're ready to head forward despite what Rick Pitino said. He said, save the season. Let's have May Madness. He wants to push it back a little bit. But I think that's just because they're experiencing some COVID stuff right now. But hopefully that gets going next week, Thanksgiving next week. So I'm ready.
Yeah, big couple of weeks of sports coming up here. The rest of November is big football, and then the college basketball starting. And, of course, on December 22nd, the NBA begins. So a lot of stuff happening regardless of the –
Chris Paul coming to Phoenix.
He is. That's a big get. That's a big get.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of trades. Milwaukee Bucks pick up Jrue Holiday from the Pelicans for a few players. Bledsoe goes to New Orleans. Anyway, so let's move on. We'll talk about that a little later. Let's talk about how they can find you, and then let's go into some football.
Okay, they can find me on Twitter at ScojoAZ Sports, Instagram Scojo Picks. My website is scojopicks.com. I put content out there. And that's where you can find me. And always go to YouTube, go to the Legit Betting Edge podcast, and subscribe and like, please.
If you're watching this on YouTube right now, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you watching. You can find me at @my_bankroll on Twitter, creating content exclusively for Twitter and YouTube right now. And we'll just get rolling here. Let's do a weekend recap, and then we're going to talk some MACtion for tonight and tomorrow night. Let's start where you're at, Scott.
Yeah, Saturday had a really good day in college football. I ended up going 8-5-1 there. After the morning, it looked like it was going to be a really good day, but the weather kind of nipped me late there. I mean, Baylor kind of faltered there in the second half. That would have made a better day. And I had SMU and Tulsa, but I had the over in that game. That was one of my big plays on Saturday. But the weather just I was watching that, and it looked like the wind was supposed to come in later, early in the morning, but it was there right at game time. So it just took pretty much all passing out of that game. So it still ended up 28-24 or whatever the game ended up being, but they just weren't able to push the ball down the field at all. So, and then NFL was just kind of a so-so day. I had a lot riding on that last game, but again, another weather affected game. When I saw what was going to be happening there, I just went ahead and I had a couple of big parlays with Baltimore on the money line. But when I saw what was happening weather-wise, I just went ahead and hedged and took the win no matter what. So I didn't even really watch the game, but I saw that the Patriots won that game, and the weather was pretty brutal the whole game there.
Yeah, the weekend was about a wash for me. I go 3-1 on Saturday, and my play of the day, which was Baylor, faded in the fourth quarter. I would have gone 4-0, and then I went 1-3 on Sunday. So lost some juice, hated that last night. Vikings did exactly what I expected them to do, and that score did exactly what I thought it would do. So I feel real good going into the week. I can't really spilled milk is spilled milk. I did learn some lessons, and just trying to adapt my game to what's happening, on the screen in the stadiums and on the scoreboard as those final scores tick in, and either my dollars come to me or leave my pocket. So
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, so it was a good weekend, a good week for me. So I didn't do anything on the Monday night game. I leaned on the under there, but I stayed away from that game altogether, and it was pretty much exactly, I think, what you would expect. Chicago's offense is just non-existent. I feel bad for their defense. Their defense plays their butt off every game, and the offense just can't score points. So, and Minnesota's starting to kind of creep back into this, after a 1-5 start. They're not as bad as I think people made them out to be, and their schedule's really favorable over the next 3 or 4 weeks. So they could be right back in the middle of this. So, and then
they could. Let me step in on here. The Minnesota Vikings defense played lights out last night. The Chicago Bears are not. They played lights out, and the Bears only got points when Minnesota's offense decided to hand them opportunities, or special teams got off on them. And special teams for the Minnesota Vikings is a problem. And their top, Rudolph and Thielen both gave the other team opportunities to take the ball down the field. So when you look at that, you say the Vikings are looking to creep back in. Perhaps they can creep into the playoff picture, maybe a wild card, because there is an extra wild card in the NFC. I think they're going to have problems with Dallas this coming week, to be honest. I just see too much inconsistency. They're not all on the same page. And even though Cousins had a nice night, it wasn't, and nothing was, he had a great night, in fact, and so did that defense. It was not Cousins' fault. But those skill players, and I just don't think they're on the same page. And I think there's an issue with special teams, and I think that'll come to rear its ugly head probably in a week or two with Dallas coming up this weekend. Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to the Thursday night game this week with the Cardinals after that miracle finish against Buffalo they had the other day, which was just an unbelievable play by Murray and Hopkins to win that game. But that's going to be a fun game on Thursday night. And the NFC East keeps proving that 5 games. I don't know what's going to win that division, but
sure,
somebody's coming out of there. I don't know who it is. I switch every week who I think it's going to be. So.
Somebody's coming. Yeah, somebody's got to come out of there. I mean, it's just the way it is. That's a crazy division. We'll see how it shapes up. I think this weekend a few of those teams will get W's though. So at least they'll get another W going and try to push towards the 500 mark.
Yep. All right. We got MACtion going now. So Tuesday and Wednesday. So we got, let's see, the first game tonight. Well, I think the Miami Ohio game was canceled. So I think we've only got 2 games tonight. So the first one, Buffalo at Bowling Green. Buffalo, favored by 31. This is one of the best teams. I think Buffalo's them in Central Michigan, Western Michigan are, the top of the MAC there. And Bowling Green is just god awful. But 31 points is definitely a lot to be given, on the road, especially in Buffalo. I've watched most of their games, and in both of those games, they've built really big leads, and then they just dial it. They pretty much just dial it down, and halfway through the third quarter and fourth quarter. So I kind of look maybe that for that same consistency here. I think they're going to build a big lead, and then they're probably just going to take the foot off the gas pedal again. And I think that's opening the back door here. So that 31, even though I think Buffalo is 31 points better than Bowling Green, I don't like laying that. So I'm going to play Buffalo in the first half here at -17.5. That's my play here. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but with Buffalo, with their tendency to do that in the second half, I'm going to be on the under in this game. I can't believe I'm saying that in a MAC game that I'm going to play an under. But in this game, Bowling Green's offense is, I don't even know if they can get to 10 or 14 against this Buffalo defense. So I'm gonna be on the under. Those are going to be my 2 plays in this game.
Yeah, Bowling Green's in trouble. They can't put up any points, and Buffalo is the cream of the crop when it comes to the MAC conference. So, but 31 is a whole bunch of points. I can't play this game with a number that big. Even though I would want to lean Bowling Green plus the 31, just because, like what you said, Buffalo, look, they're not looking to waste energy or talent on a game they've already got in the bag. They're just not looking to do that, especially with COVID. They're looking to pack it up and not miss any games and save it for another game. So, dangerous game if you play it with Buffalo on the whole thing. I think you have it right with Buffalo in the first half. They're looking to execute at a high level, 17.5, 3 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns and a field goal and a hook. You need 3 touchdowns to cover in the first half, essentially. But I'm not looking to play anything in this game, and I just think that it's a game that I couldn't even watch. I'll just check the score when it's over.
Okay. Next is going to be Akron at Kent State. Kent State's favored by 26.5 in this game. Kent State, they've got a senior quarterback. He's been there. He's been starting since a freshman, and their offense is a well-oiled machine. And this Akron team, they don't have their starting quarterback, so they got a freshman in there. And, Akron, they played a tough game against Ohio last week. They were in that game. It was only a 7-point game in the fourth quarter, and that defense was, they were playing their butts off in that game, but offensively, they just cannot move the ball. Maybe they can get a little better as the year goes on, but I don't see them getting any better against this Kent State team. And Kent State's defense will give up, some plays and some points, but that offense is just going to, cruise in this game. I think I like Kent State in this game. I like the over in this game because I think Akron will, they'll put up some point. I think they just need to put up. I think Kent State's going to be in the 40s, somewhere in the 40s here. So, can Akron put a couple touchdowns up? Maybe a couple late. I don't know, but I like the over in this game.
So Akron got to 10 points last week. Is that what it was? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 24-10. They could. Right. Yeah, they moved the ball, but they just made mistakes. Move the ball, make mistakes.
Yeah, they get to 14 or 17 in this one. I think Kent State rolls too. I think Kent State will cover this number. It's a big number. It's double digits, and my record for double digits this year has not been good. But I will side with Kent State on this one. I'll have a small play on it. My players will play it, so I will take Kent State. That's something this big. Very tough for me to get behind unless you have Ohio State giving up those kinds of points. But Kent State does have experience on the offensive side, and I think the route will be on. I think once the scoring starts, it won't stop because Akron won't have any answers.
Yeah, no, I agree. So those are the games tonight, Tuesday. So Wednesday night, we've got Northern Illinois at Ball State. Northern Illinois is getting 2 touchdowns here, and Ball State's played a couple good games. They won 138-31. They lost 138-31. So, but they're a good team. And this Northern Illinois team is young, so they're still learning. I think they're going to probably be a good team here, next year or maybe even the year after. They got a ton of freshmen on this team, so I just think Ball State at home, they're going to be too tough for Northern Illinois here. I mean, Northern Illinois again might put some stuff up late here, but I think Ball State's probably going to roll in this game. I like them probably by about 3 touchdowns in this game versus Northern Illinois.
I'm with you on that. I agree. I took Northern Illinois last week, them and Central Michigan to go over. Northern Illinois couldn't put anything on the board until late, where they put in 10 points late or whatever it was. But they're in no condition, and they're not primed to do anything. And I think Ball State is definitely a team that they're not like Kent State, but they are steady. They will score, and they will pull away from you. And I think Northern Illinois, once you get pulled away from, they have no answers. They get discombobulated, and they're not playing together as a team. They're just, I'm doing this, you're doing this, and they're all over the place. So I do think Ball State covers this 14 points, and I probably will be on Ball State minus those points tomorrow.
Toledo at Eastern Michigan, and this game, Toledo favored by 6.5. But this is Eastern Michigan team, man. They played 2 really tough games. They lost both of them, but they're playing tough. They're playing strong, and their schedule is just brutal. I mean, in the MAC, they play, I think they may not play Buffalo, but they play, Central Michigan, Western Michigan, Toledo. They've played Ball State. I think Ball State and Miami. So there's no cupcakes for Eastern Michigan in their schedule. So but Toledo, they lost a heartbreaker against Western Michigan in that crazy ending last week in the MAC. So, I don't know, man. I don't really have I think this game is going to be a hard fought game, and Eastern Michigan, getting just about a touchdown at home. I would probably lean that way, but if I do anything in this game, I'd probably look at the over, because Toledo, they're nuclear on offense, and Eastern Michigan can score. I mean, they're not one of the top offenses, but they can score. So I'd probably look at the over in this game if I was going to do anything. But this might just be a game that I flip back and forth and watch a little bit of and not do anything on.
This is an interesting matchup because you're right. Toledo is coming off that heartbreaking ending loss against Western Michigan, right? But Eastern Michigan is a team to be reckoned with. They're no cupcake. I tend to like the 6.5 points in this. I'm going to look closer. I'm going to look for a reason to take Eastern Michigan plus the points. I think it might be a good spot for them. At first glance, I looked at it, I said, that's interesting. And this is one of those dogs that I could probably get behind. I'll look to back Eastern Michigan tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes. Not yet, though.
Okay, and then the last game in the MAC this week is going to be Western Michigan at Central Michigan, and this is going to probably be the best game in the MAC this week. Two good teams here. Central Michigan, I worry about their offense. Their defense is legit. They play really good defense, but their offense, I worry about their offense. They're switching quarterbacks. They don't really have an identity on offense, so I worry about them scoring points. And Western Michigan, they were in that game we were just talking about with Toledo and won that crazy finish with the fake spike and the touchdown there, but they can put up points. So this is going to be a fun game to watch. I don't know that I'm going to play anything on this game. I lean Western Michigan here, but like I said, Central Michigan, I love their defense. I love their defense in this conference. So this is probably going to be a pass for me again. I mean, maybe not a pass. I mean, I'll look at it more and see if I can come up with something and find something. But as of right now, I don't really have anything going on this game. But I lean Western. I lean Western Michigan in this game.
I'm going to lean. I lean Western Michigan also, and I lean under in this game also. Central Michigan, even though they did blow out Northern Illinois last week, they had trouble putting points on the board because they have an uneven offense, just like you said. So they're not really cohesive. What the hell they're doing? They don't know what they're doing. And if adversity strikes, what will they do? They probably won't know what they're doing there. They had a cupcake last week. They were able to pull away. Will they be able to do it this week? I doubt it. Now Western Michigan came all the way from behind. That takes a lot of energy out of a team. And, they got to get in and face a tough matchup with Central Michigan. So I will look under in this. I do lean Western Michigan. I think 2 points. I think they could go into Central Michigan and win. But again, I'm leaning both the under and the Western Michigan. I myself am going to look to back the under if I can. And as a secondary measure, I will look to back Western Michigan. I could tease the 2. We'll see how that goes. I'll take a look.
Okay, and so that's going to be the MACtion. We'll do our NFL on tomorrow. We'll do all our NFL games. But since the NBA, I think their draft is it tonight or is it tomorrow night? The draft's tomorrow night, and we talked about a couple of the trades. Chris Paul coming to Phoenix, Holiday going to the Bucks. But there's a rumor rolling right now, and it's like Harden going to the Nets. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I did.
I don't know, man. The Nets are going to have to. I saw what the Nets would have to give up, and I just don't. I don't know. I don't like that. I think they should roll. I think the Nets were playing really good without Kyrie and Durant. And now you're going to add those 2 superstars. So I'm a James Harden guy. He's an ASU guy. I love James Harden, but man, I just don't. I don't think that's a good move for the Nets at all.
Well, I'll tell you this. First of all, Harden wants out of Houston. That's a fact because Houston is done. Their opportunity closed. They didn't seize it. Westbrook's going to be traded at some point, maybe to the New York Knicks somewhere. But think of it this way. Westbrook in the Thunder, when he was in the OKC Thunder, he couldn't do what Chris Paul did, which was, get them where they needed to be in the playoffs. When Chris Paul went over there. So Chris Paul, to me, is still a primary key. And I think when the Houston Rockets traded Chris Paul, they made a big mistake. Now Westbrook's odd man out in Houston because he knows Harden doesn't want to play with him anymore. And he knows basically if you're Westbrook, because this is a reflection on Westbrook. If you're Westbrook, you got to at some point be thinking, man, I can't really get us there. I can't.
Right.
I had Harden. I had Durant. He left. I couldn't do it. Like Westbrook's got to have like an identity crisis, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, who could you pair him up with to really get it done? Pat Riley did want him in Miami last year, or the year before. They wanted to trade for him. They couldn't get him over there. But so Harden wants out. That's just an indictment of Westbrook. Westbrook's going to be somewhere, probably New York. I don't think Harden and Kyrie can really play together. I think there'll be more problems. I think Harden,
Right.
obviously, and Durant can play together. I think Harden and Durant would probably be a more suitable duo than Kyrie and Durant. I honestly feel that way because if Harden's there, Durant's able to go do his thing closer to the hole. But if Kyrie's there, Kyrie's like he's a cancer. So I don't know. Should the Nets do it? You got Steve Nash over there. You got Mike D'Antoni. Harden didn't want D'Antoni to stay in Houston. Why does he want to go to the Nets now?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
a bunch of drama and relationship stuff there. So I don't really know what's going to happen. I do know this: the Golden State Warriors will be picking who are they going to take, or are they going to trade for somebody else? Because to me, with Curry and Thompson coming back, and Draymond Green and Kerr, and them being rested like they are. I think they'll be right back in the front, and I think they'll challenge the Lakers for the West. You got Ty Lue, who he's the coach of the Clippers now. What do the Clippers do?
Yeah. I mean, it's the Clippers. I mean, the West is just loaded, and as happy as I am as a Suns fan to have Chris Paul coming here, and he definitely will. He will help the Suns. The Suns are going to be a better team, but I still think even with that, they're looking at 7 seed at best, 8 seed at best. I know they're going to expand the playoffs and have like a little play in between 7, 8, 9, and 10. I think the Suns with Chris Paul are definitely a top 10 team in the West. But man, I don't see them getting any closer than the 7 seed with as loaded as the West is. And like you said, Golden State, they're going to be right back where they were. They just took last year off. And, the Lakers are probably going to slip a little. They got their championship. LeBron got there. So how motivated is he going to be? The Clippers are going to be strong. Dallas is going to be strong. Utah. I mean, just go down Portland, Denver. I mean, the West is just loaded. So I love the trade for the Suns getting Chris Paul, but I just don't know how much better that makes them in the West. And
well, you got DeAndre Ayton is in his third year, coming in his third year. He should get it step up. Plus, when you have a general on the floor telling people where to be and what to do, they tend to play a lot better. When you have discombobulation and people tossing it, and Ricky Rubio, he's good at what he does, but he's no Chris Paul. So Chris Paul comes in with almost championship pedigree. He's been in the playoffs many, many times. He knows where people should be. He can deliver the ball there. Booker needs him badly, right? So yep. I just think it's a great thing. Whoever they might get somebody else, but DeAndre Ayton coming in his third year, they were 8-0 in the bubble. They couldn't get in the playoffs, but they were 8-0, right? So they were playing well, and I think you could see them leapfrog a couple of teams. You could see them getting the fifth seed. I could honestly see Chris Paul moving them from nothing to fifth. So
that would be great if they could get that high. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, if he stays injury free. On the other end of it, look, you may not agree with me, but I believe if Dragic and Bam Adebayo for the Heat were not hurt, I think they might have taken the Lakers in 7 and maybe won that championship. So
no, I had the Heat in 6 and 7 in that. I played those two. I took the Heat in 6 and 7. I totally agree. I think Miami would have probably taken that to 6 or 7 games. Win it, I don't know, but they would have been a lot more. They were competitive. I mean, they were just out of gas in that last game. I mean, that was just they had nothing left. So, but yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think Miami is going to be a fun team to watch too. But that the West is just loaded. It seems like it's been loaded since the 90s. So, So I'm looking forward to that starting on the 22nd, and then obviously college basketball getting started on the 25th, which right around Thanksgiving. So a lot of I think you're going to be seeing one of the best freshman duo in the country coming out of Tempe with Marcus Bagley and Josh Christopher. So that's going to be a freshman duo to watch. And, with the senior leadership they got back. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping college basketball happens, not only for my pocketbook, but for ASU, because I really have high hopes for them this year. I think the pack will be a little bit better than it's been. UCLA should be a lot better. Stanford's going to be good this year. USC is probably going to be good. And then, Oregon and U of A. A lot going on with U of A. I don't know if Sean Miller is going to end up, being the coach there, because he's about to get popped. That's about to come down, and I think U of A is going to get hit pretty hard in all that FBI investigation stuff. That's finally going to come up this year, I think so. But Oregon always reloads, so Oregon, they'll be tough. And then, I've just been going through all my conferences and getting ready. So I really liked Richmond in the A10, but they lost Nick Sherrod. So Richmond still, they're a senior heavy team. They're going to be a really good team this year, but losing Sherrod was huge for them. So that was kind of my team I had circled. I was really looking forward to watching this year and thought they might have a chance to make a deep run, but that's a big loss for them. So, but yeah, I'm excited about the NBA and college basketball getting rolling here. And
day before Thanksgiving, first games of the college basketball, will you be betting those first games? How do you go about betting the very first game?
Probably. I mean, if I see some value, but I mean, it's going to be different this year. I mean, ASU, their first game is Villanova. I mean, we're going to find out really quick, what ASU's got a ton of talent, and they're 11 deep. So what I worry about is, can Hurley manage the minutes with all these guys? Remy's back. He's on the All-American list this year. Verge is back. Kamani Lawrence. I think Jalen Graham's going to be, one of those glue guys that nobody talks about, but he's going to be huge for ASU this year. And then you got the two dynamic freshmen in Bagley and Christopher. So it's going to be interesting to see how they put all that together. But I'm probably, with COVID and everything that's going on, I'm probably going to be really, I'll have clients and stuff that, like you said, are going to want, probably action in play. So, I'm probably going to put a disclaimer in there. I'm probably going to have some plays early on, but probably nothing until a couple weeks gets going, to where you can kind of see how these, and obviously, how much COVID's going to affect it. We don't know that yet. I mean, it's already hitting teams like Rick Pitino with his team, Iona, the whole freaking team had it. So, he's saying to push everything back. So, it's going to be a dance, but hopefully it gets going. And yeah, I probably won't be doing a lot in the first couple of weeks, just watching. And I mean, I've got a lot of teams. Another team that I really like is Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's going to be phenomenal this year. I think, they're always a defensive, juggernaut with their coach, and they got some transfers in there that are going to help them offensively. So I really like Texas Tech this year, and I love Virginia in the ACC. I think Virginia is going to make a lot of noise in the ACC. They're always in, the way Virginia plays, they're in every, they're in every game, but they can lose every game because they don't score. But I think that's going to change this year. I think they're going to be a little better on offense. So those are just some of the teams that I'm looking at and watching. And so, yeah, to answer your question, probably not a lot early on.
Fantastic. Back to football. So tomorrow we will do every game in the NFL on episode number 15. And on Friday, we will go through all of our college football plays for the weekend. I see this is a huge week. Just going to touch on a couple of things before we check out here. I'm of the belief that Penn State may get their first victory this week. I'm of the belief that the Dallas Cowboys will cover and possibly beat the Minnesota Vikings this week. I think there are two spots that I will look at. And so I'm super excited about what we got going this week with a big slate. Maybe all these games won't be canceled before the weekend hits, and we'll be able to see a full college football slate.
Yep. I'm right there with you, man. Hoping. So again, before we go, Twitter at ScojoAC Sports. That's where you can find me. Also Instagram, Scojo Picks, and my website, scojopicks.com. I'm also on Facebook. You can find my page there, Scojo Picks. I put a lot of information out there. So that's where you can find me on social media.
Yeah, might be able to put an article. Just a thought off the top of my head here, an article on the Pac-12 college hoops, what you expect to see this year based on what you just told me. Sounds like you had some really good information. People might want to read that in long form. You can find me at @my_bankroll on Twitter. I will be shooting videos. My play of the day will be back as soon as I like something. And as always, if you're watching this now, smash that like button. Subscribe. We appreciate you watching, and we will be back. That's the end of episode number 14.